Welcome to This Explainer. Okay, today we are diving headfirst into how ancient philosophy and modern physics tackle the absolute mind-bending mysteries of our universe. We usually think of science and spirituality as these two completely separate, walled-off realms, right? But as we're going to see today, the line between them is incredibly thin, especially when we start talking about the very fabric of reality itself.
So let's just kick things off with a pretty massive question. I want you to ask yourself, are you actually seeing reality as it really is, or are you just getting a tiny, super limited slice of it? Because when you look up at the night sky, or even just watch a clock tick on your wall, you feel like you're experiencing time passing. But what if your whole perception of time is just a biological illusion? What if the past, the present, and the future are literally all happening right now, but your brain just isn't wired to process it?
To get a grip on this, think about a tree growing. If you just sit there and stare at a tiny seed planted in the dirt, you're not going to see it growing. Our eyes simply cannot perceive those minuscule, day-by-day changes. To actually watch that seed transform into a sapling and eventually into this massive, towering tree, we literally have to cheat our own biology. We use a time-lapse camera to compress months into seconds, right? Only by artificially speeding up time can we see the whole picture, the continuous, fluid motion of life.
And that beautifully illustrates our biological limitation. The human mind, which is constantly trying to make sense of all this chaotic information flooding our senses, essentially chops up time and space into these little digestible pieces. Because of this, we can never naturally view the unity of things all at once. We're basically stuck watching reality frame by excruciating frame, completely unable to just sit back and see the whole finished movie.
Now here's where it gets wild. Modern science totally validates this limitation. Einstein's theory of relativity completely shattered the idea that time is just a fixed ticking clock. He proved it's actually a fluid dimension. Think of time like an entire movie reel that already exists all at once. Depending on how fast you travel or the gravity you're subjected to, you actually move through that reel differently. So to someone zipping through space near the speed of light, what takes decades here on Earth, like our growing time-lapse tree, could literally be experienced in a matter of seconds. Science is telling us straight up, time is entirely relative.
So what happens when we take Einstein's modern physics and put it side by side with the ancient Bhagavad Gita? Well, a stunning parallel emerges. On one hand, you have the actual physics of time dilation, time bending and stretching based on mass and speed. And on the other, you have this ancient concept of divine vision, the ability to temporarily step completely outside those physical laws and experience multiple lifetimes, universes, and the entire flow of time in a single mind-blowing instant. To really understand how this plays out, we have to look at the story behind it. Picture this. Thousands of years ago, on the incredibly chaotic battlefield of Kurukshetra, you have this brave prince named Arjuna, and he is just paralyzed by fear and confusion. Standing right beside him is his guide and charioteer, Lord Krishna. Now, having heard all about the limitless, infinite nature of the universe, Arjuna acutely realizes his own mortal biological limits. He doesn't just want to hear about reality anymore. He desperately wants to escape his biological frame rate. He wants to see the universe without those strict boundaries of time and space.
And in chapter 11 of the Gita, Krishna actually grants this request. He gives him divine vision. He reveals what's called the Vishwarupa, this awe-inspiring, overwhelming universal form. With this vision, Arjuna completely escapes the illusion of linear time. He is essentially experiencing Einstein's relativity from the highest possible dimension. Tying this right back to our earlier example, Arjuna wasn't just looking at a tree anymore. He was seeing the seed, the sapling, the massive tree, and its eventual decay, all at the exact same moment. He was watching the ultimate cosmic time-lapse, experiencing the sheer totality of existence simultaneously.
But fair warning, this vision wasn't just a peaceful, beautiful light show. Our minds love to separate what we like from what we don't, but ultimate reality encompasses everything. In this climactic moment, Krishna actually reveals his menacing, destructive form right alongside the pleasant ones. He's showing that whatever is created must eventually be violently destroyed by the exact same cosmic force. And it's right here that he utters a phrase that has echoed heavily throughout human history. I am time, and I destroy the three worlds.
And this ancient concept of simultaneous creation and destruction, it literally shaped our modern world. This specific chapter of the Gita had such a profound impact that J. Robert Oppenheimer, the brilliant physicist and architect of the atomic age, famously quoted it. When he was standing there, witnessing the terrifying, world-altering power of the very first nuclear blast in 1945, Oppenheimer recalled Krishna's words. He famously translated them as, Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds. In that blinding flash, he recognized the overwhelming, indifferent power of the universe at work. So what is the core takeaway from this massive vision, both for Arjuna back then and for us right now? It's that creation simply cannot happen without destruction. Life is a continuous, endless loop. Krishna explains that our existence moves through stages kind of like the seasons moving steadily from spring to summer to fall and then winter. We're born, we grow up, and we move on. Time recycles absolutely everything, and understanding that cycle is the very first step to transcending it.
Which tees up perfectly the ancient Hindu concept of Maya. The texts describe Maya as an illusion, but, and this is crucial, it's not an illusion in the sense that the world isn't really there. Rather, it's the illusion that the physical world, exactly as we perceive it, is the ultimate fixed reality. Maya is essentially the trick our biological limits play on us. It makes us believe the day-to-day grind is all there is, while completely masking the deeper, far more profound truth of how the universe actually operates.
And honestly, if we lay these ancient concepts over modern physics, it's literally like they're reading from the same playbook. The structural parallels are absolutely incredible. Maya, this illusion of a fixed reality, maps beautifully to quantum wave function collapse, which is the idea in physics that particles just exist in a haze of possibilities until an observer actually looks at them. The Visharva-rupa, experiencing all time at once, perfectly mirrors Einstein's relativity. And Indra's net, the interconnected web of the cosmos, that looks remarkably like modern string theory.
Let's actually zoom in on that last one for a second. Just as string theory suggests that an invisible, vibrating cosmic web underlies all matter in the universe, the Bhagavad Gita describes the universe in a remarkably similar way. In Chapter 7, Krishna says that everything in the universe is connected, like pearls strung on a single thread. Whether we're talking about people, rivers, stars, or subatomic particles, the whole shebang is bound together by this invisible thread of existence.
Okay, so how do we actually apply this? How do we escape the illusion of time in our own everyday lives? Well, first, we have to own our biological limits, really understand that our view is just one tiny slice of the pie. Second, accept the fluidity of time, knowing that things aren't as rigid as a ticking clock. Third, try to view creation and destruction not as good and evil, but as necessary, paired parts of the exact same cycle. And finally, act with the awareness that every single pearl on that necklace is connected. How we treat one part of the universe ripples through the entire cosmic web.
Which leaves us with a truly fascinating perspective. We have essentially bridged the gap between a charioteer on an ancient battlefield and the complex whiteboards of 20th century theoretical physicists. So the final thought I want to leave you with to ponder today is this. Are the ancient sages who meditated deep in the forest thousands of years ago, and the modern physicists calculating quantum mechanics in high-tech laboratories today, actually just telling the exact same story using different languages? Definitely something to think about the next time you look at a ticking clock. Thanks for exploring this with us, and keep questioning the reality around you.